everybody. Welcome back to Talking Money. I'm Dan. Thank you. This is the third series coming out, and we're here talking a little closer conversation than the currency roundtable. And tonight we've got our guests, Big Apple Stacker and Dean from Massive Basic Gold and Silver. And why we have them on? Because here's what I find unbelievably interesting about both of them. They both collect currency, and they're both super into Morgans. I know. You're going to have to listen to some Morgan talk. But I mean, come on. If it wasn't for the Morgan dollar, I'm curious if we'd all be talking right now because it's such a collectible coin, good chunk of silver. It is a great coin to collect. And these guys, I would say, well, they're certainly the two smartest guys that I know that are into Morgans on it. And they're incredibly passionate about it. And what's interesting is what I want to dig into tonight is say, hey, you guys went from Morgans, you became interested in currency, and you're still doing both. And I think that's awesome. And I think that gives a lot of opportunity for some other folks. So with that said, again, welcome. I'm going to go right
Thank
into
you.
Big Apple Stacker. You know, he's that New York guy. He's tough.
I tell you,
Shit
well,
falls off trucks all the time. He hires people to do certain
yeah.
things. I won't say what.
Well, first of
Anyway,
all, I
Big
want
Apple,
to
how are you? Great. Thank you for being on.
thank you for allowing me to come up here. But I was a little nervous when I got this email and to even pop up here because I thought I probably would have gotten clipped by now. By the time I would have been sitting up here,
From the
to
Minnesota Mafia?
to the back of the head. I don't know. You know, you never know. So I
No.
don't see the other crew, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Well,
So,
I enjoy your channel because you really do a great job of picking notes. You've got a
thank you.
very good eye of what you're getting, not only that is already graded, but what's raw. I've seen you take raw notes, send them in, and they're the right ones, in my opinion. And I'm not really an expert, but you haven't been wrong very, very often. So
So,
Nice.
how did you get into Morgans
well, I was always
or
into
coins?
coins. I was always into coins. Young, picking up, your regular pennies, stuff that didn't really cost that much money, right? Ike dollars was one of the things that weren't really that expensive. They really, they had your little Morgans and your peace dollars, but just regular, skids. Nothing too important. Nothing, no high end stuff. Then as time started coming by, you pick up here and there, and then I know I started hitting the coin shows, probably like 2000, maybe 13, 14. Around that
Oh,
time, I
wow.
started to really get back into it again. And I've always collected, always had nothing crazy, nothing, and then I started to really get back into it and collecting. And at that time, it's when I really started, diving right into it, trying to see if I could make any deals, you know, getting things off the back of a truck. Oh, things like that,
Yeah.
So,
What were you looking
plus
to? What were you looking to? I mean, was that Morgan's at that 2013,
at that,
2014? You were
yes,
coming on
yeah,
strong.
correct. At that time, it was like more collecting silver, collecting the Morgans, the peace dollars. I was always into that, always into the more. I love the Morgans. I mean, you couldn't pull that away.
Yeah.
I think that anybody that does collect silver, you tell me you collect silver, please tell me that at least you have one Morgan or one piece dollar, something.
Yeah.
I mean, how much bullion can we really carry? Or I
That's
know,
Are
true.
you baiting
That's
me?
true.
Are you really going to bait me? I
I,
mean,
I,
I,
hey, I'd rather not say, but I know that bullion is very heavy, especially when you're carrying a big, huge monster box. Got
well,
it.
when
You
shit
know,
I
hits,
know. Yeah.
when shit
Especially the
hits the
monster box.
fan.
so,
Boy.
like I said, I got into it, and just the numismatic part, the history of what was in our banks, what people were carrying. I mean,
Yeah.
$5. Think about what people back then in 1900s carrying $5 worth of silver dollars, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We carry quarters and dimes and nickels in our pocket, right? But can you imagine picking up, carrying that silver, walking around, and some
Yeah.
lady opening up a purse and she has a bunch of? I mean, it's just the history. That's what got me into that, collecting even harder and deeper to
And
it.
you're still collecting. What do
Absolutely.
you? I know you're working on a couple things to. You're getting close to complete. What are they with your Morgans?
Okay, so the Dansko albums I've completed the Dansko albums. It's not, filling up a Dansko album is not that difficult. And recently I had taken out a lot of the BUs, sent them in to get graded. They came back MSs. I spoke to a lot of the people in the coin community. They were like, "Are you crazy? Keeping BUs in there? You supposed to?" I'm like, I don't know. Just keep them in there. I love them. I love who
Right.
Dean, you know how it is. Holding a
Yep.
raw Morgan in your hand, just the luster,
Exactly.
everything. I
Yeah.
mean, you feel it in here. It's like
Yeah.
that piece of currency. But you gotta love the Morgan, man. You
Yeah.
You
gotta
do.
love it.
I certainly
Yeah.
appreciate. I like the piece a little bit more, but it is
And,
unbelievable.
I
The
always keep
Morgan,
telling people, Dean, and do not sleep on the peace dollars. I know they're
Yep.
really inexpensive, and people are like, "Oh, wow, it's peace dollars." But the peace dollar 1921 just passed.
yeah.
We're heading to 1925 now.
That's right.
Eventually, it's already going to be past 100 years soon.
Yep.
So
No, you're right on.
don't sleep on my peace dollars. That's what I keep telling people. Don't sleep on them.
Well, well, especially when you look at the peace dollar and the Morgan dollar, and then you look at the seated Liberty and the trade dollar, they just, to me, and I'm not knocking the seated Liberties or the trade dollars, but just how they look compared to the peace dollar and the Morgan dollar, like they just don't look as nice, in my opinion.
Yeah,
You have that beautiful, brilliant uncirculated peace dollar or a Morgan. To me, they just look 10,000 times better
I,
yeah.
than those.
I'm so you love your Morgans. That's great. And I want you and Dean to talk back and forth and have a good time. I'll just leave. Um, but so
So will
how
most of your audience.
right, and that's okay. But how did you get what's your currency origination story? So
So let me get into the currency. The currency I had probably was the $2 1976. You
mhm.
had that, right? Who didn't? I mean, Dean, who didn't have a
That's right.
$2
Yeah.
1970? Oh man, this is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, no, you idiot. It's not worth. It's just a $2 bill. You know what I'm saying? Come on, forget about it. It's only $2. So I mean,
Right,
and then I started collecting my silver certificates, thinking that that was a real big deal. I'm like, wow, silver certificates. I'm collecting them. I'm thinking, oh, motto, forget about it. Look at this. This is great. $5 here. The red seal. Like, wow, this is. But it was nothing to what I have obviously today. But
Yeah. Yeah.
picking up those small ones, and some people ask me, how do you start? That's how I started,
right.
picking up the small little, dollars and $5 and thinking that it was a lot. And yeah, they're still valuable,
Right.
100%, because one, they don't print them anymore, right?
Hmm.
Right.
And they were still backed up by the silver,
Yep.
and the gold certificates were backed up by the gold. They meant something. But as a coin collector back then, didn't really understand it as much until you start reading these books and you start looking up like, wow, okay,
What was
this is
your
something.
what was your first large size that you came
My
across?
first large size was the Black Eagle,
Hmm.
and the I had the Black Eagle and the 1923, but then I also the second one was the $20 gold certificate. I had a 30
Oh yeah.
BQ. Yeah, I got rid of it. I just sold it to actually retired Navy Rob. I sold it to
Oh
him.
nice.
I've been in currency maybe 2000, like 2017, 18 maybe.
Okay, so it's been a
But
while.
yeah, but again, the 18, I was only doing the $1 or $5. I wasn't $10. I was like, oh man, look at this. You know, s- you know, $20, the Federal Reserve with the little 1928. Wow, look
Yeah.
at this. I got this one on eBay. I must have got hit over the head for that one. Definitely for sure. There's no doubt about that. But I
Uh,
thought it was real
yeah.
cool. It had the 19, it was 28 because it had the little number in the seal there on the
Right.
left hand
Yep.
side. So
Very
I
cool.
was like, wow, but we were like now 2021 with the large note. Yeah.
In talking to people who collect coins and currency at the same time, it
Hmm.
does seem to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
slower
Yeah.
uptick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you. I think it took a little longer because, there's a couple of people that I know that collect, right? But they started to collect now. And I guess because I'm helping them, so it becomes like you become a teacher to that individual.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have that as much. And you may go to a coin shop, and the coin shop may look at you like you're an idiot, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you try to get answers, and it's like just really not good answers. They don't give you the
Right.
right stuff, and so most of the
Well,
time, some of the people that I know, I kind of help them out, like really, so
so time out on that. I mean,
okay,
wow, that's a big shocking experience. I don't think anybody's ever had that in a coin shop ever.
right, yeah,
I mean, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
I just get, you hear that so often. And that was my first experience in a coin shop
Oh
also.
yeah. Yep.
And that's when I saw my first large size and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But it is interesting that you got past that
yeah,
and paying it forward, giving it back, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is nice to have that. And that's one of the things that I think that's awesome about the YouTube community that I didn't really expect, honestly, when I started my channel, but it's what it's developed into. So, all right,
right. Helping, I think, helping other people on
Yep.
currency, one to sort of educate them to understand, because I think sometimes people, they could look at it, they could read it, but they don't get the real drift where you're really talking to someone about it, right?
Right.
And a lot
Yep.
of people, there's people that speak to me on the phone, and we talk, and we really just talk about currency. This is
Yeah.
what we're talking about, and we talk about this, and we talk about, and then most is even now sometimes sending stuff to get graded. To
Right.
me, I think that's a big plus. And I know that there's some people out there that just like, well, the note is valued at the same. Well, technically, we don't really know what grade, because
you
Right.
I
don't,
Yeah.
you
kind
You
don't.
of leave it
don't. You
for the
don't.
professionals. Let them
Yeah.
let
Right.
them tell me. I mean, I rather buy a note graded than one that's ungraded, right?
Yeah.
I think I've spoken to
I
you
mean, that's
about it.
always for newer collectors, obviously, that is the best advice I think anybody can give.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Buy the
Yeah.
note already graded. Don't try to play that game. But there's nothing wrong, and that's what I think about the small size notes. When you're looking at the 28s and the 34s and the 35s and the 50s, you look at those, and if you see enough of them, you get that development of what's 20, 25, 30. And if
right,
you're going higher than that, that's wonderful. But you get a sense of grading that in raw notes. And then you're like,
right,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe I can send them in, maybe I can't, maybe I shouldn't. And it's a value thing. Are you going to pay
Yeah.
at minimum $30 to get a note graded that was 50? Probably not.
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
and so all right, I'm going to switch over to Dean. Dean,
Yes.
you've been collecting. What's your when you got into coins and currency, and what's your back origination story for?
Well,
I
I've
know
kind of
I
said
know
it
you've told it
before,
before, but I love hearing it. So
but I will share my first experience in a coin shop.
yes,
And I was much older. I wasn't a kid or anything. I was in my early 30s, and I'd gone in because I was interested in buying some silver eagles, kind of for my son, something I could just kind of collect over the years. And then when he got older, give him a whole stack of silver coins. That's what I thought would be good. And I've learned otherwise. But I just remember, looking back now, especially what I have learned from other people like Big Apple, and even you, Dan. you know, it was just funny that the coin dealer was like, "Well, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing, so I'm going to sell him whatever." And I remember him taking the eagles, and he was literally putting his thumb on every eagle to me because they're
Uh,
just dumb bullion coins. Who cares? I had those for like 10 years before I sold them. Every single one of them toned with his fingerprints all over it. It was just like, man, like, I don't know. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal, but it's just looking back when you don't know stuff like that. In the moment, I should have been like, dude, I'm not buying those now. You just got your hands all over.
we all know how Big Apple feels about having actual hands on currency and coins. Coins,
yeah,
Well, but especially you get a nice silver dollar, you don't want to see a giant
No,
fingerprint or a thumbprint on it,
coins is
Yeah.
very different, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to, I know we joke, but Big Apple, I'm like you, like what do you call them, Dan? My coin condoms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I put them over my slabs because I don't want my slabs all scratched,
Yeah.
and I do the
Yeah.
same
I
thing with
mean,
my currency.
So Dean, I mean, I know that you grew up with coins, Canadian, passed
Yep.
down. Your
Yes.
mother was the head of the
Yes.
coin collector.
Coin collector and currency. That's
Yeah,
I
well, that's right.
inherited a lot of. She gave me a lot of great Canadian currency, especially the 1937s. She even had a whole bunch of the Devil's Faces, the 1954s. So I have a whole bunch of those that she just had given me that she had collected out of circulation. So yeah, there's I know not everybody loves the world notes, especially Canadian notes, but for me, it's my heritage alongside, I think that the notes are beautiful, incomparable to the US notes, not so much today, but older
Back
notes
then, yeah.
definitely. Yeah. So yeah, it's been fun to kind of collect. And then as I've watched your channel and other channels, just to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable, getting waist deep in the water here of currency, especially US currency, to go get those extra steps into getting large notes. That was kind of fun. And yeah, my first note was the $20 gold certificate, and that 1922 that is, and that was just a great note. And then after that, Black Eagle and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's just fun, and we've talked about this many times. I don't really know why people are like, you have to collect one or the other. I really don't get it. Like you said, Big Apple, and Dan, you've said it too. The histories between the coins and the paper money are just so connected. I don't know why people wouldn't want to collect both and enjoy both, because they're both, really, really beautiful, especially currency. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, so going back to the Morgan, I'm going to stay with Dean for a little bit because Big Apple kind of expressed, Morgans. I mean, it's like really why Morgans? I mean, you have a big chunk of your channel, not all of it,
Yep.
dedicated to Morgan Dollar Mondays. Shameless plug for you. So there's why? I mean, why? I mean, what really is it about the Morgan dollar?
So I really did. I think what most collectors do is they start accumulating rather than collecting. And so I had the Lincoln cent collection, I had Indian head cent collection, I had a Jefferson nickel, Buffalo, V nickel, Barber dimes, Mercuries, Roosevelts. I just had everything in either albums or elsewhere, and then it just got so large. I remember when my wife and we moved, and I had 15 boxes of coins.
Wow.
And silver bullion, and she's like, yeah, I think you got to downsize.
So big,
so
big.
I started selling off, but I just, my eye kept on being drawn to the Morgan, and I just had held on to the majority of my Morgans. And I've just been sticking with it because, one, you get older, your eyesight gets a little worse. So I will say, looking at a Mercury dime to see the mint mark, I'm like, is that a D? What is it? So those are just things that, I was just kind of like, I don't really want to get into or stay into anymore. When you can go from an accumulation of stuff down to an actual collection. And for me, I really enjoy those Morgans because they don't really tone up fast unless somebody does something to them. So if you get yourself a nice blast white one, you put it in, a nice place, it's not going to tone up, regardless if it's in a slab or in an album. So for me, I like those Morgans, and I say that I do prefer the Morgan design over the piece dollar. But to Big Apple's point, the piece dollars are all getting to be 100 years old. They really are beautiful. The luster is really superior to a lot of other coins of its time, and especially today. So that's something that people really should look at if they want to collect. But I feel like I'm talking too much, Dan.
Yeah, you could shut your pie hole for a while.
Yeah.
So back to Big Apple. Did you collect any other denominations and coins?
Absolutely,
You did.
100%.
Is there a second place
Yeah.
coin that you had, like
Um,
Dean's 1909s?
okay, I do
Which is
collect,
cool.
yeah, I do collect, like I said, the Morgan dollars, the peace dollars. I definitely 100% collect that. And I also do have like the Dance Co album. Dan, you may know, because I know, I mean, Dean, Dan, you don't know. Dean, you do know. The
Yep.
Dance Co 7070, 7070, 7070 album. It has all the United States, which that I have filled up.
Is that a
Um,
type?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
typeset. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Do you know? I didn't know if you knew
I
that,
knew
Dan.
there was a Dansko type album, but to have
Okay.
a
It's pretty
stupid
cool.
number to it, ooh.
Well, okay. Well, I'm just. I figured,
Big Apple, go take a scrap.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I just,
I'm
um,
sorry. Come on,
it's
talking money, and let
okay.
Dan verbally abuse
Yeah.
you.
But I just actually purchased just now, like last week, I just purchased a 1895 uh proof
Wow.
Barbara Dharma.
Nice.
Yeah, proof.
Nice.
65.
Wow.
Proof 65.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Wow.
yeah, there and just like the Morgan dollar, the 1895 proof Morgan, there's 880 of those minted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The same thing as the Barbara, 1895.
Yep.
Barbara, 880 minted. Same thing as with the quarter, the half,
Yep.
and the dime. They're all 880 of them. So I
Hmm.
have the 65 half, and the ones
Yeah.
that
Yep.
are probably slabbed. I'm not really buying any raw coins anymore. I'm buying like slabbed coins,
Hmm.
slabbed actually even currency, the same thing.
Yep.
And there's a reason behind, God forbid something happens. I get, like I said, at
Yeah.
the end of the show, I may
Mhm.
get clipped or get two in the back of the head somehow. I don't know. I have no idea. At least my wife would know what most of this stuff
Yes.
is valued at
Yes.
and know that she's holding a Black Eagle that's a 58 EPQ, right?
Right. Yeah.
She's not going to just hold a, oh my God, what is this? And don't know, but she does know. I mean, she does know because she hears me all the time. She gets tired of hearing me, but I get tired of
She's
hearing
not the only
myself.
one.
Yeah. So,
Um,
uh, but yes, I do collect my half dollars, my Barbers,
Yep.
and cat bust. Cat bust.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a beautiful coin.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it is gorgeous, and so are the seated. I have some real good high-end seated half
Nice.
dollars. Yeah, so I do have them stacked away, and just again, I go back to that history part.
Yep.
Let's understand who was holding this.
I'm going to switch back to let's go. Let's talk. I'm bored, so bored with coins, and we're
Well,
we're
I
Yeah,
was trying.
like
That's
I was
why I
gonna
was trying to segue to Big Apple and his
I
collection.
I was gonna just
no.
tell I was gonna tell because I was talking to Dean
Yeah.
about about the Morgan Dollar set, and one of
Yes. Yeah.
them
Yeah.
is the entire NGC Morgan set. So from 1878 to 1921, they will all be an NGC set,
Nice.
all slabbed in MS. While
Yep.
I'm trying to work right now, I have everybody, just about everybody in an MS mint state.
This is why, folks, that I wanted these two folks on. I think you can hear the passion of
Yeah,
specifically their Morgans, and that yet at the same time they've, you know, I don't want to say crossed over or have discovered currency on that. And
yeah.
so going back to Dean, what was the real note that just said, okay, I am going to, I mean, you said it was the $20 gold certificate, and I remember talking to
Well,
you about which note, but I mean, what really triggered that decision to say, yeah, I'm gonna buy a $250 or more piece of currency. What was it?
I was collecting the 1929
Yep.
Nationals. Yep. So those ones I felt really comfortable with, but
You were collecting the ones from the Wilton National Bank from your
yes,
hometown of
from my
Wilton, New
hometown.
Hampshire.
But then when I saw, like, I didn't realize in the 1920 series that was like the shift. So when I found out about, like, that in the early 20s they were large
Oh,
notes,
right.
and at the end it's 29, you got the small. So that piqued my interest, but again I was kind of afraid to pull the trigger on anything, especially after I guess you'd say 12, 13 years collecting coins. I wanted to enter into this side of the hobby, I guess, with my eyes open rather than just kind of fumbling through the dark. So through meeting you and talking with you, talking with others, and just kind of studying more, reading the books, the right books, I felt comfortable to pull the trigger. And yeah, I think that cost me like $400 for the 1922 that I bought, the
Yeah.
$20 gold certificate, and I felt very comfortable. I spend that on a Morgan.
Dean, I guess we were lucky enough to have each other because, I had
Yes.
to ask. So Dean was in the process of what note should I get? And I recommended, I don't know, five, six, seven notes. Get one of these.
Yeah.
If you're going to get one note and you're a coin person, right?
Yeah. It was the Black Eagle, I think you said
Yeah,
originally.
it
Yeah.
was Black Eagle. It was one of the gold certificates, a large size. You didn't want to go whole hog and go to the Morgan back, but
No, I
uh,
would love a Morgan back, but that price gets a little out of my comfort zone. But someday.
but at least to be able to sit there and then the expertise that both of you had moving to currency, you had all this coin collecting. So I think one of the biggest fears I hear is that, oh, it's tough to learn. And I don't think it's any harder than coins.
No.
And you have an advantage based on your experience as a coin collector moving forward.
Yeah, but
Both agree to that, think that is a huge advantage.
yeah, but I think the so like I'll just use a real example. Sorry, the 1893 S that we were just talking about, Morgan.
Mhm.
They minted 100,000 of them. So in a super low grade, okay, that's going to be a couple thousand to $4,000 in a really really low grade. Okay.
Mhm.
Also, what Big Apple said: don't buy it raw, or you should steer clear of ones that are raw because they are faked a lot. So that knowledge, he and I gained over the years. Now he showed a beautiful coin. I have one as well, an 1881 Carson City. You got a Mint State 64 Big Apple that you showed. Loved it. I think I have a 65, and they only minted 296,000 of those. So when you hear those numbers, you're thinking, "Whoa, wait a second! If at 93S they minted 100,000 of them in a super low grade, that's worth like 2, 3, 4 grand. Then an 81cc, if they only minted 296,000 of those, that must be like tens of thousands of dollars in mint state, and they are not. But that's where they
Yeah.
trade. That's my point.
Yeah.
So for us being in the hobby so long and learning the nuances and stuff like that, that's where I was like, I need to learn the nuances of paper money before I just dive in.
Yeah, I mean that CC, by the way, Dean, fell off the back of a truck. The other thing was I kind of just jumped into currency. I like
You did,
because I
okay.
yeah because I was collecting those $1, $5. I didn't really think that they were that expensive,
Right.
so I was already in the midst of having and I don't know. Well, I actually have just a little stack, about maybe that big, of just like $1 silver certificates and maybe like a five, and
Yeah.
you know, I now just collect anything that has to be graded and just one note. That's it. So
Yeah.
I kind of just jumped into the
Yeah.
large notes and to even the smaller notes, the nationals, 1929, the hundreds. Plus, I
Yeah.
also collect a lot of the old money that I do have. They always say keep that underneath the mattress when it's okay. Um, but so I kind of just jumped in
Yeah.
to the large notes, and then I started to just send them out to get graded. And I'm gonna tell you the most dumbest thing that I used to do. This is where I was telling you that nobody really sat down and said, "Hey, Big Apple, this is the way you do this. This is, nobody step by step." I
Yeah.
take people step by step. If you know me and we talk on the phone, I'm going to help you from A to Z all the way to the back, and
Yeah.
then make sure that you graduate and go on your own. You know what I'm saying? So you could feel comfortable, because sometimes people may not feel comfortable in a certain way, even filling out that form. And that form, remember, Dan, I think we were talking about the catalog number.
Right.
Well,
Which,
what the
what
hell
is it?
is
Which is it?
what is the catalog number?
I would follow up on that. If you don't know what a catalog number is, you got no, and I don't, no disrespect to anybody. You have no business getting your own notes graded. I mean, it's like, unless you have somebody like Big Apple, unless you've got somebody that
Right.
can help and is willing to guide you through step by step. All right, we had to have a little technical malfunction, not a malfunction. We just get to see Big Apple in better light with a better camera.
That's
So if
right.
you're wondering why it looks different, you're just such a good-looking man. All right, Dean, you've got some questions or comments about some of Big Apple's notes. What do you got?
Probably more just observations, but I just really enjoy your channel, Bay Apple. I just love the fact that you're not afraid to buy those old national notes, and I don't think everybody collects those, the plain backs and the brown back. I think you've shown even a date back. You got that, or no, maybe it's the brown back I saw, but
Yeah.
that one was really phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. Not everybody collects those, so I was just like, what draws you to those national banknotes?
I mean, look, let's understand that the work
Uh,
that was done to these notes
yeah,
Mhm.
in reverse, not even, looking at it in reverse, how beautiful that they do these notes. And I mean, just the work alone. And I mean, I think that these notes are just really beautiful.
the vignettes are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting because, I've got a video coming out on the Higgins National Banknote Museum that I went to in Iowa. So
Hmm.
that's coming soon. But my point, I left that going, I only have three large size national banknotes, and they're all 1902s, and they're because I'm a type collector. I'm also a Minnesota collector, so I'm like, I'm not going to get a non-Minnesota national banknote. Well, there's also a reason budget. They get very expensive for Minnesota and other smaller states, but they are amazing notes. And Dean, that's a really good point to pick out for Big Apple is that yes, that
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of those. And I would say, if you're a type collector, you need to have these notes. Don't be
Right.
afraid of them. And they can be much more affordable if you get away from your hometown type deal.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
especially too, like I find like a lot of coin collectors that do get into currency, they stick with the silver certificates or gold certificates. But you've gone into the Treasury notes. You have some awesome Treasury notes. I think you showed 1891 dollar bill. I think it was VF 30. I'm like, that's nice. So you just
Oh,
got some really nice looking stuff that you show on your channel.
with my large notes, I just kind of, upgrade, and like I said, the battleship, that was the only battleship I had, was in a PCGS. So now it's in a PMG, and it's a New York one. Why?
That's
Is
awesome.
because
Yeah.
that's because I think, Dan, you and I were talking.
Yeah.
Why were you not collecting in the beginning of the or New York, right? Which is the
Yeah.
best thing for me to collect. One, Big Apple. I'm in New York.
Yep.
I was born and raised in New York. Hell's
Yeah.
Kitchen,
And
diehard New
and
York.
and they tend to be less expensive.
Yes. And I was never thinking about that. It didn't dawn because I was just collecting the notes. And I'm like, oh man, I'm just buying and collecting. I'm like, then I just stopped. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to just go with the New York ones. So
Yeah.
I started, and what made me start doing the New York one, I think you guys seen it, the Red Seal 1920,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
that looks exactly like the one that's in the book, which is a New York one. And
And but it's only like 14. It's from the same print run.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so he's
yeah,
got a note that's 14 serial numbers off
yeah,
of the one that's in the book. But how you kind of go after it, you kind of just work your book.
Yes.
Like, okay, what's next or
mhm,
what's coming? What am I trying to get next? If you're looking at an auction or whatever, it's literally, and I don't want to say you're turning the page and it's what's next, but it kind of is that way. Am I wrong on and kind of thinking
Well,
that way?
actually, I'm kind of all over the book, right? If anybody's
Yeah,
seen, I'm all 5, 10, 20, So the thing is, now I'm almost done the completion of the $1. I think I'm missing like three or four of them. So that's my thing. I'm almost done with the $1. So I'm just kind of all over the book. I'm not
Yeah.
really, as I keep trying to look. I try to look at like, okay, where do I sit with the money on this, right? I was in the Long Beach auction, right? And there was a note that I was going after, which was the 1880 um, um, legal tender. It was a $50 note. I love that note. I love it. I think it was some minor repair. I don't care about the minor repair when it comes to that type of note, because if there was no minor repair, that note is about a 6 grand note, right?
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because of the minor repair, I'll take it. It's okay.
It's they call out minor repairs, and here's what's weird about PMG and the others is that it might not have details on it. They call it out, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's a net or a detail.
Yeah.
Right.
They might
So
not. I ran across one the other day where it was like, it said minor repairs, but it was not a net grade on it.
yeah.
So I mean, with that said, I mean, yeah, that's one of the things again, crossing over if you're collecting coins, you get that details and it's death. It's death to the coin, depending
Yes.
on the scarcity, rarity
Depending on
of
the
that
yeah,
coin.
and
But
depending on the collector too. Some
yeah,
collectors they don't care; they collect everything. Any examples, especially if they think they can get it cheaper.
right. And if you want to, yeah. And
Yeah.
with currency, it just even if it has a net or details, it really isn't that big of a deal on
Right.
it. I mean, it really isn't.
Right.
Yes, it does affect the price, but not anywhere close to where it would in coins. Let's put it that way. I mean, the
Yeah.
banknote
$100%
that
right
Big
Yeah.
on
Apple was
that
Yeah.
one.
just talking about was a valuable banknote nonetheless. Here,
Yes. Yeah.
Dean, so your angle on, yeah, we talked about your fancies, and you do have a kind of you've narrowed what your fancies, what you're looking for in fancy numbers. You want to share
Yeah.
that?
Like
And
literally zeros and sevens for my FRNs. So if I'm going to have an FRN, it has to have zeros and sevens only.
yep,
If it's anything else, I'm just going to get rid of for now. I do have some silver certificates that are fancies, and that's cool. I'm not going to really go um, deeper than that. Like I might pick up one here or there, maybe as I move on. But really, I'm trying to hone in because I'm focusing in on some Morgans, and I am focusing in on some currency that I really want. Like I really do want to get that 1922 $50 gold certificate. It's not that scarce, so there's got to be comparable notes that are going to be coming up. So I'm definitely hunting that way.
and you're still kind of like saying, hey, you're like, I know you're like $20 1882 to style or $100 1922 gold certificates. Is that you're still looking at kind of backfilling on the silver and the gold certificates first? If my
Yeah, well, I'm that cliche coin collector, I
Yep,
guess.
no, understood. Yeah.
Um, I just love the history. Like I am going to be doing, this plug. You can edit this up, but I
No,
want to do a
shameless,
video
shameless plug, please.
on the Morgan with the Black Eagle. Like, so I
Yep.
have the 1899 Morgan with the 1899 Black Eagle. I think that's a fun video. The history's connected. So I think that's fun too. I know Big Apple. You showed you were driving me crazy. You did a short with a $2 1899 mini porthole. And you didn't show the grade. I was like, this note looks fantastic, and you never showed the grade. So I started hunting through all your videos trying to find out which note that was.
See,
The
people,
only the only other question I had for Big Apple
Go.
is you know you you show coins, you show currency, and you show Superman. You've got your Superman comics, you
yes.
got some Superman coins. I think that's awesome. Big Apple, the
Yeah.
Metropolis. I love it.
Yeah,
So it's very cool.
I have my comic books. I got plenty of slab comic books, and
Yeah, that's
there's
cool.
still, there's something that, and I don't like to, bore anybody, but I do have plenty of baseball cards and,
Yeah,
football cards. You collect, even though
yeah,
it's always been there, but
yeah,
right now it's where I love the most is my currency, and
Yeah.
that just, it's more, and it's that drive of especially the currency. It's just
Well, it shows
something
you're
I
passionate.
yeah, I just can't, it's
Mhm.
like I can't really get enough of it. It's like
Yeah.
being on crack, right?
Well, and this is,
Maybe,
I mean, this is
Yeah.
what's fun
maybe, yeah.
Oh, it really is
the
though. It's about the hunt.
It is.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
about
well,
get
the hunt.
enough of it.
it's about
I
having
gotta
the
get my next hit. Where's my next hit?
so getting into currency, and I do want to, I got two questions for each of you to wrap things up. So, all right, if you're going to get one resource to help you, if I'm a coin person and I'm like, all right, I'm listening to you. What's the resource that they can use or get or buy to help them start?
Hmm.
Red book.
Red
Yeah,
book.
the red book would probably be, if we're talking currency, absolutely, hands down, the book you recommended for me, the Friedberg book. That was very helpful to kind of just to see how it's set up. I had bought a different book, and that was fine, but it just doesn't seem as concise or as accurate too with the prices. So that was helpful.
I recommend anybody who's going to collect currency,
Yeah,
please get a book first before you
Yep.
start buying anything, and then know what it's about. And then, right.
So
And I think that most of the time for a large note, I think the 1923 $1 would
yeah,
probably be the most,
yeah,
once you have that, and then you can work onto your Black Eagle.
yeah.
Because I think that the Black Eagle, when anyone looks at that Black Eagle,
yeah,
you're looking at it, you're looking at the front, you're looking at the back. People are like, wow.
yeah.
I think that Black Eagle introduces anyone into currency.
By the way, that was my last question, so you just answered it, and
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted
that's a
to,
great answer.
yeah,
That's a
I,
great answer.
I just wanted to speed
Yeah.
you up a little.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So,
1917
Yeah,
saw
1917.
saw sawhorse
Yep.
with
yeah,
Washington on the
Yep.
front. That's just that's another cheaper, large size note that is just really cool.
Gentlemen, I do have to say I'll make a plug for Massabesic Gold and Silver. Dean, you are one of the best channels out there for Morgans, for coins. Your knowledge, your video, I got to listen to your voice, but okay.
I was gonna say,
I know, you know,
just watch the captions,
seriously,
closed
I mean,
captioning.
there isn't anybody out there that shoots coins better. There just isn't. So if you haven't been to
absolutely.
Massabesic Gold and Silver, right? Am I not right? Big Apple?
His videos are amazing. He makes it look so easy. I want to look at my Morgans and I say, "Oh no, I don't want to even show these." I mean, this guy displays his Morgans like, wow.
I mean, I
Should I
know.
should I tell him, Dan, where my studio is?
That's
I'm
up to
like,
you. I have not revealed your
I'm
secret.
like, my Morgans don't even look like that. Why
Yeah.
is it? I'm,
They do. That's just that Dean knows how to shoot. He knows how to
I'm,
light, and he's got a
I'm
good lens on
like,
his camera. And
I listen. I just don't know how he does it so like
all right,
gorgeous looking.
Dean,
After the call, I'll
you want the
reveal
big
my
Yeah.
secrets.
nobody's watching anymore on this
No,
anyway. So
I'm not
Okay.
not not doing it on camera.
all right,
Okay.
fair enough.
All right.
Gotta
So
keep the people
but
thinking,
and Big
guessing.
Apple, what I really, and again, if you haven't checked out Big Apple, you're missing out on
Yeah.
a good currency story, a good
Oh yeah.
currency collection
You-
story.
yeah. And your
And
shorts are awesome too. I just gotta
yeah,
say that.
Thank
I
you.
love your shorts.
and you know, again, Big Apple, what I appreciate is that I mean, yes, you try to, that you still buy some raw notes.
Mhm.
Um, and again, you're taking your own advice most of the time. But when you pick a raw note and send it in, you know what you're doing. Or if you're going to take a note and cut it out of a holder, whatever it is, you know. Again, I don't think you've been wrong, and I'm looking at it going, I think that's a good choice. In my
Yeah.
opinion, what he's sending in or what he has cut out of another holder is a good choice. And you
Yeah.
haven't, I don't think you've been burned, at least what I've seen.
Yeah, no, it's I have
And
not, and I just recently just did that, and that's the ones that notes that are coming back from PMG. I actually took them out, and I didn't send them with the PCGS because it was that third party. It's
right.
and they came back differently different higher grades. So it's,
And what I really appreciate too also is that your sense of community of what
Yeah.
you're doing with the coin and currency folks that you're
Yeah.
working with on the folks. And closed circuit retired Navy Rob, I'm missing your videos.
yeah,
Please let me see what you got. I want to know if you've got any new obsolete. So end of closed circuit to retired Navy Rob.
yeah,
But I mean, again, having that community, it's really cool to see you guys having a
yeah.
good time talking, George Campbell, um, Jeff
Jeff
Davis. Sorry,
Davis.
I can't
It
believe I
was, yeah.
forgot that
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
Just a
Yeah.
classic
yeah,
name.
yeah.
Just hearing from you guys on my channel, it's just really cool to see that community. And I
Yeah.
think a big reason of that is you,
Yeah,
Big Apple.
yeah.
So kudos to you.
Thank you. It's been great. And like I said, when Dan, you started your roundtable with, the Dustin and Ontario 100 and
Yeah.
even Stu Beck, and a lot of people knew Stu Beck because Stu Beck would just chew everybody out on eBay over there. So I said to myself,
And
don't sell
it's
nothing.
Stu Plubeck. Stu
Yeah, well,
Plubeck. You're
don't sell
like
nothing on eBay. That's all I got to tell you. So I just want to let you know, you're gonna get clipped by this guy.
I,
So
I I know, but it's like he turns around and puts it on his buy it nows because it's not even an
yeah.
auction anymore. And he is
So
like it's charity work. I mean,
yeah,
seriously, the prices that he's throwing out. So,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
all right,
but
gentlemen, anything else?
no, that's it. Thank you again, Dan
No,
and
well,
Dean.
Yeah.
we'll be back. This is going to be an ongoing series of mixing, matching people and having
Oh,
you back on talking about this or that. Like I want to get you back for sure, Big Apple, and talk about grading submission. Just how to go,
That'd be a good one.
about it.
yeah,
You've done it a lot, and just talk about little ins and outs.
yeah,
I'd love to have you
yeah.
bau back on for multiple
Thank you,
subjects.
and I would gladly not like to come back. I mean, I would love to come
I
back.
don't blame you.
It's great to,
I
you
don't.
know, to, to
Yeah,
come back. I love
sure
it.
glad
Thank
you
you. I
fixed your
mean,
camera because we want to look at that back.
yeah, no, I mean,
Um,
Oh, that's good.
it's all
yeah.
good.
So,
And
all right.
Dean,
Well,
thank you as
Yeah.
always.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
thank you.
And we are gonna have you back on with some other subjects coming up. Gentlemen, it's been my pleasure as always. Thank you for taking the time, and you both will be back whether you like it or not.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Dan.